sitting in a room in front of people that have ideas too, it helps them to believe that, you know what, my idea is worth something, it's worth pursuing, it's worth going after it. Even if it looks like a challenge, I should still go out and try to do it.
Okay, so that's 1 Million Cups. It was started by the Kauffman Foundation for the purpose of entrepreneurial showcasing, education, networking, and support. By you being here this morning, you're part of a huge movement. There are over 160 communities in the U.S. doing 1 Million Cups every Wednesday morning. So every Wednesday morning, we bring in two entrepreneurs or two entrepreneurial startups to tell us their story, their trials, their tribulations, their successes, and more importantly, how we can help them going forward. And you all get to ask them questions for 15 minutes after their short presentation, and that's the real value add to them. Everybody that's presented said, man, I got so much valuable feedback, it was so good, so don't be afraid to get in the weeds, challenge them, ask them the tough questions, that's what helps them. We'd like to do a shout out to our sponsors. Our delicious coffee is by 210 Coffee Roasters. They have 2 retail locations around town, so please support them, but also, of course, they can provide coffee for your office or your event. Our venue sponsor where we are today is the Hub of Human Innovation, and we have a video on the Hub.
My name is Anna, and I am a software developer.
Good coffee, my passion. I am an energy innovator.
I want to improve your daily energy.
My batteries will revolutionize your smile. I want to make premium coffee accessible.
I am an entrepreneur.
I started with an idea. My business is ready to launch.
It's hard to know what the next steps are. Here at the Hub, we want to help you start, build, and grow your company. With expert mentors, access to capital, skills development, and professional networks, we give you the tools to succeed. The Hub of Human Innovation, helping entrepreneurs start, build, and grow.
Okay, so we are the Hub. We are a business and technology incubator here in El Paso. We are funded and supported by the city and private donors and partners for the purpose of helping startups, particularly those that have a new business, a new technology, a new product come to market. So if you are one of those or know somebody, we can help. I'm biased, but I think we're the best deal in town. Our affiliate program starts at only $100 a month. You get a bunch of programs, support, education, and co-working space here at the Hub, so that's a great deal. So please come talk to us, we can help. A quick admin announcement. Oh, sorry. Please follow us, both the Hub and 1 Million Cups, both on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. And also, please check in on the app. It's not the same thing as checking in on Facebook as the app, so please pull out your phones, please silence them, and then please also download, if you don't have the 1 Million Cups app, and please also check in. It helps us. That's one of the ways Kauffman tracks our attendance. Now, a housekeeping app. If you park in front of the building in the angle parking, please make sure you're backed in. The city will come and leave you a little note. If you're on the side, if you're on that angle parking, but on the side closest to Durango, you only have an hour, so please watch your time. If you're on the side closest to the Paisano curve, you have unlimited time, so you're good to go. There are some extra seats at the front, so please go ahead and fill those in. And with that, I'll bring up our first presenter, Beacon Hill Virtual Reality. Beacon Hill. And Ivan's an old pro presenter.
Thanks. All right. Well, hello everyone, good morning. My name is Ivan Gries. I'm the person in charge of all things technology related with BeaconHillVR. And you might have seen us working on that corner for the past few months. So we're going to show you a bit of what we do. We're going to tell you a bit about our story. And we're going to do some demos after the entire sessions are over. So, this is a team. I'm Ivan. I got my PhD in computer science at UTEP under Dr. Novik, who's right there. And I've worked with virtual reality, augmented reality, intelligent agents, and a lot of that sort of thing.
My name is Alex Rayon. I have my master's in computer science. I also worked with Dr. Novik and got my master's at UTEP. And I've worked in the research lab with Dr. Novik and Ivan and Laura, we're all part of the research lab, used to be. And we created virtual humans and studied virtual human interaction.
My name is Dara Rodriguez, and as they said, Master's in Computer Science, and my main research place was virtual agents and education. So we're all part of the same research team, but my main place is usability for this development that we're doing.
So you'll see a little in a while of what that means. And yeah, Greg will be helping us with some demos. Alfredo is the CEO, he's sitting back there enjoying the life while we present. Just kidding. And some of our mentors are also here. Before we start, I just wanted to make a quick differentiation between virtual reality and augmented reality, what those are, what the differences are, in case you're not familiar with the concepts. You'll be able to see them in person. But basically, virtual reality looks something like this, where you put on a headset, you put something in your face, you can move around, you can look around, but you cannot see the real world behind you, right? So everything that you see, it's completely a virtual world. That's the term of virtual reality. In augmented reality, it's basically adding to your reality. So you wear a headset, or you can do it through a phone. Famously, Pokemon Go made that term more mainstream. But basically, it's seeing things in the real world that are not really there. So through a screen, through a lens, through some device, you can, grab something, manipulate it, see things like someone standing next to you when they're not really there, sort of like holograms, and you'll get a chance to try those out. So before we move into what we actually do, so we're asked to present a bit of how we actually got here. In brief, this is actually our second time presenting here. When 1 Million Cups started way back, we presented immersion when we were doing more like games in virtual reality, virtual agents, people you could talk to, more focused on entertainment. And that's when we met Alfredo. Alfredo was also he's in the music industry, and we met to try to cook up something for entertainment. But after a little while, we decided that we're in a very industrial city, and there's a lot of opportunity here for these types of tools. And we kept getting approached by people saying like, hey, what you're doing is really cool, but could you do this? Could you do that? And so eventually we started thinking about it and said like, well, yes, we can. So we started working with industry. So what we now do is we do this types of solutions to help people in industry for training, simulation, and a bunch of other things that we're going to talk about right here. So these are the main 6 things that we do. They're all listed on our website, BeaconHillVR.com. And so Alex is going to talk a little about logistics.
Right, so for logistics, what we can help in for that, is so with augmented reality, you can place things that are in front of you that other people can't see, right? And so logistics-wise, you can give workers in factories like detailed directions on what to do. They can find the best routes for shipping things or like taking things through the factory. You can also use it to, as we've done with the OTs, which is another demo that we have back there. When you wear them, you can put on a QR code scanner, and that scanner can scan different items in the factory for the workers. And when they scan that item, you can provide different information. You can provide the quantity, where it's supposed to go, how they're supposed to handle it, is it fragile, is it not fragile, details that you need to put down. And from there, they can handle like transportation of it, you can keep tracking of the location, stuff like that. And so there's a lot of different capabilities with AR and logistics.
Then I'm going to mention really quickly about quality assurance. We have a demo back there with some streamers. So this is a project that we already sold to a big company. What they do is they do process for quality assurance. They do it manually. They do it visually, right? So they have to examine things visually. And what happens is in the morning, everything looks bad. They detect the tiniest mistake, and by noon, they just don't care, and a lot of mistakes go through the line, and it's very costly, right? So what we did is the way they used to train them was with like a bunch of steering wheels, physical steering wheels with actual defects, and they were like passing them around and finding them. But they just had like 50. It occupies like some space. You learn the mistakes and where they are, so you're not really being trained or calibrated, like they call it. So what we did is we have a simulation that offers them over 2,000 different steering wheels, and actually 2 people back there help actually manually create all those 2,000 3D models for steering wheels. And they're very detailed. You're going to have a chance to try and see if you can spot the mistakes on those. But basically it's just simulation for them to improve their recognition of quality flaws. It's also useful for other types of simulation, especially when you want to put people in dangerous situations, or when you're going to put people handling very expensive machinery and you don't want them to screw up the machinery, or when you need to simulate error situations with really expensive equipment, right? It's really hard to break the machine on purpose when you want it to break just to train someone. So that's some of what we do.
Then for manufacturing, another thing that we do is aid the operator with augmented reality and show them the process so that they're new, they don't know the process very well, so they get reminded of what they need to do on the spot instead of having somebody else take their job, a little break from their job and help this other person by making the company more effective, as well as the people who already know the process, make them go faster, as fast as the videos go, as fast as the process is being shown in the AR device. Therefore helping the company be faster and more effective, and the worker learn their process without having extra help.
Where are those videos recorded? On the phone or on the...
I'm about to get to it, but they can be recorded on the phone, on devices, on a camera. We can put it however we want.
You can even do what they call it wireless.
Yes. Yes, like streaming.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's the next point actually. So remote support. Also another thing we do is somebody's wearing the glasses, and we'll actually do a live demo on this screen right now. You'll get the chance to try it individually if you want later. But basically, someone's wearing the glasses, and someone else from a computer in a remote place is looking at what this person is seeing through the glasses. But not only that, the person who's in the computer can, talk, but also drag images, parts of manuals, text, videos on their computer screen, and then it appears on the screen of the person doing the job, so it keeps them hands-free, and then they're communicating in real time with a lot of additional information.
So it's audio and video?
Audio and video. Mm-hmm. And so yeah, that's basically remote support.
Yeah, for optimization, so for taking packages through different factories and stuff like that, with AR, as I explained before, the glasses can tell you what to do, they can give you the best information. And then with that data of how people are sending things and how long it takes for them to get to certain points of the factory, we can optimize the deliveries by finding the best routes, by just detailing, like maybe having maps and stuff like that for the users, and just figuring out the best way to make the process faster, whether it's for like industrial use like that, or it could be for other things as well.
Yeah, another issue that international companies have is that they have to interact with other people that are in the same company but elsewhere, right? Japan, in Mexico, the United States, and Switzerland. They may or may not know English, or they don't understand each other's English. So what we offer also with the remote support is that translation services, live translator translating on real time what the other person is saying, so that they can actually understand each other and do their jobs much easier. That's one of the main issues in international companies. They're like, well, we brought some people and we didn't understand what the heck they were saying. So it's like, well, you don't have to take them all the way back to your company so that you can see whatever they're doing. We can use the remote support and add your translation services. And we can also translate the images and the videos that they're sending. So everything, the documentation is also understandable for your people.
So that's in a nutshell what we do. And depending on the customers, blends between these areas with the technologies. We're going to show you a very short video. This is a relatively old video. We actually shot it here around the hub. But just so you can see some of the technologies in action before we move to the play button is like right now.
At BeaconHillVR, we use virtual, augmented, and mixed reality to solve some of the hardest problems in the industry with new cutting-edge tools. We offer solutions for manufacturing, logistics, remote support, training, and simulation. integrate to your existing solutions and databases and help you track people, items, containers, capacity, or performance. We also provide artificial intelligence modules that calculate the shortest paths and inventory loads to create smart warehouses. Run a simulation or train your employees in virtual reality. We create immersive environments that provide the tools, equipment, and metrics you use for real training. Track their learning progress or challenge your employees with test cases to evaluate their performance in a simulated environment. Connect remote teams instantly. Have your technicians or remote experts see through your employees' eyes. Start a conversation and share documents, manuals, videos, or instructions in real time. Prevent errors and save time by having persistent, unlimited access to materials and references to perform common tasks. Contact us to learn how the technology of the future can help you today. Schedule a demo or consultation for more information.
So that's everything we said in less time.
And now you put
So now we're going to show you sort of how this looks like. So what you're going to be seeing is what Alex is seeing through the HoloLens. It has a bit of a delay. But yeah, so just open. You can walk around actually. If you want to put it, if you want to put it in the wall.
Okay, so here's our robot arm that we have right here. So you guys can see what I'm saying. So these buttons control it, and it's also controlled by your voice. So I can do like, I can click this button and it will move the arm, rotate it. And if I let go, it'll stop. This one moves the arm. Okay. See the arm can move up. Or if I want to see it while it's moving, I can be like, arm down, lift arm, stop. Lower arm.
Please lower because the leg is...
Stop. Oh, sorry. And there's other things you can do. So like, if this were a detailed machine, oop, I'm gonna just put it back there. If this were a detailed machine and you needed, if this were a detailed machine and you wanted your employees to know all the workings of the machine itself, you could do something like this. Disassemble. And so with that, like you can walk around, you can see all the different parts. You can put different levels of visual detail on it. This one's very simple. And you could also make things like text and stuff pop out of the different pieces if you wanted to. That way, if you need to give them instruction on certain things, sorry, they could see it there on each individual piece. Reset. Oh, you can also make it shrink. Shrink. You can make it smaller, you can make it bigger. Expand. 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 Enlarge. There you go. Enlarge.
You have to find what to say yet.
Yeah. You have to know what to say. And so yeah, there's a lot of different capabilities. Rotate left. Rotate left. Shrink. Shrink.
So that's basically a short demo of the stuff that we're working on. All the other demos that we mentioned are back there. So after the presentation, if you want to personally try them, you can do any of those, including the one here. And I think with that, we're gonna open it up for questions.
Okay, before we start questions, is it warm in here? We can turn on the AC, but then everybody has to speak louder. Deal?
Deal.
Okay. Questions?
So, can you link it to somebody from a different location? So,
Yes.
for example, I have an office and I want to see what you're doing at the warehouse. What you're seeing, would I be able to see on my laptop?
Yes, that's exactly like the way remote support works, but you can use it whenever. And it doesn't have to be one of these devices' cameras. It can be through a phone, through an installed camera. Well, depends on the installed camera, but through a phone. Or
So if you have like cameras installed in the factory, you can look at those instead, or you can look at the ones on the glasses.
Do you have Bluetooth also?
Yes.
Could you physically, like say for example, in a club setting, record or broadcast a group and then send it out to different locations?
Yes. So in fact, the way what we're doing right now, what you were just looking at on the screen, we just have recorded that and send it. If you want to live stream it though, has some limitations, right? Because it's a very intensive process. So it depends on.
You have to have a lot of cameras, like 16 cameras to actually get that.
If you want to get the 360 view, so what you're describing is it's sort of a blend of technologies, right? So there's 360 cameras that record video in 360 degrees, and then you can broadcast that. The video is usually a lot heavier, and for that, usually it's easier to do a live stream with YouTube or something like that. It is possible. But you can also record that video, send it to one of these devices or to another device, and make it.
That's something you can do?
Yep.
What's the training time for the use of a device like that? It seems like you got
to get used to the device itself?
Yeah.
Imagine someone who has never used a mouse in their life, and then you give them one. So however long it took you to learn how to use a mouse, that's sort of a decent comparison. Once you get a hold of it, it's a lot easier. When you're projecting, because you have the lag, because you were seeing both screens at the same time, I mean this hologram and the projection, it's kind of disorienting, but usually you don't have that.
How long is your delay?
For this delay, because this is just a demo, it's like a second and a half, two maybe. But with the real application that we have back there, it's self-contained, it's less than that. It's like a second.
You guys mentioned that you were working with language, that you're translating and looking at offering that service. In regards to the documents, you said like you can put documents up there. The reason I ask is I've been in a situation many times where I'm working with people that nobody understands each other, right? Because of language, especially in Asia. But doing the documents live, real time, is really complicated. And like, if you've messed with any translation software or technology that's available, there's very little out there that's actually efficient. Like even Google can't translate a lot of languages efficiently because it doesn't translate the grammar and other problems. So are you guys doing the documents real time, and if so, what technology are you using?
No. So what we do is we use the third-party services. We translate all beforehand. And so the system, basically what it's doing is when you're in a remote location, let's say in Germany, and you're pulling out your documents in German, well, we have a translated copy already of all the documentation and all the chunks that we transfer manuals into that. So when the person is here in Mexico and they want to read it in Spanish, when they drag and drop the stuff in German, the system just picks the equivalent in Spanish, but it was already translated beforehand. Because you cannot do translations in real time no matter who promises that. Does that answer your
question? So it's only for like existing, already produced material that you would put into a system that's customized for your client?
Yes, for things that are on the fly or that are happening in real time, it's a live translator that joins them all.
What kind of response are you finding in the manufacturing? We have this massive manufacturing presence here. In the region?
Usually, so the process looks something like this. First, you have to, learn about what their problems are to see what the solutions are. Because one of the things with a lot of companies that try to do this sort of thing is, they go offering a solution without knowing what the problem is. And so that actually makes our job much harder because it's tougher to sell because people are used to getting offered things that are not really useful. But after we pass that, if necessary, sometimes you have to explain the technology, you have to do demonstrations similar to what we're doing here for them to see the potential. Once they try this on, or like you can tell me when you put this on, usually they're pretty amazed and pretty surprised. They come with a lot of ideas. A lot of our products come from their ideas, not ours, based on their needs. So usually it's been extremely well received. We go all around to visit a bunch of factories, and each factory has a different strong pain point. Each factory has a different view on how they use this, but the reception has been overwhelmingly positive.
So you guys are doing awesome stuff. You are from the region, you're graduates of UTEP, we're bringing new business and we want to get the technology to this region. people like you and your organization in this region, right? What advice would you guys have for high school students or early freshman engineering students who are possibly going to follow in your footsteps?
So, I actually work on a lot of outreach programs for our kids, and I teach virtual reality courses at home and stuff like that for young kids. But advice, I would say, persevere. You know, this is not something that they teach you in school. You don't get a class on how to do this. You have to figure it out on your own, right? So, you know, be willing to explore, be willing to learn on your own, and be willing to persevere, because we've been, I mean, each of us has like 5 years of experience in this. We've already started, you know, one company dedicated to this type of technology, sort of exploring right now because we're now focusing our efforts on this. So it's not something that happens overnight. It's taken us like 5-6 years to get to this point. So just, you know, don't
Is there something we could be doing to help organizations like yourself?
Well, one of the problems that we have, right, is that when we try to recruit people for this type of positions, obviously there's no one qualified, right? And as a startup, you don't have the resources to spend on training, either time nor economic resources. So, I've been asked this question before by people at MSU, like how can we prepare, you know, students to be ready for something like this? The advice that I usually give is, you know, look at the companies that you'd like to work in, or the technologies, even if they're not located here, and prepare as if you were going to apply for them, even if you're not, right? So that way you start getting used to seeing what, you know, companies that are doing cool stuff are looking for. And a lot of that information is publicly available, or courses are really cheap that can get you up to this level, but, you know, they have to be there yet. Just a little knowledge puts you at a big advantage over.
How about scholarships for undergrads in the lab?
Oh, okay, well, that's yeah, so we all graduated from UTEP, right, and we all worked at the same time. And so Dr. Novik is still at UTEP. So more at a college level, you know, he takes in a lot of undergrad and graduate students. And the research that we did there has been shown all over the world, and we have a ton of articles and so if you're interested, you should also contact them.
So my question, first of all, are you the proprietary owners of whatever you created? Did you guys create what you're doing now from scratch?
Just to clarify, we do not create the devices, or we have nothing to do with the devices. You know, just like working on a computer. But as software developers, the software is created from scratch. I was joking with Alfredo yesterday, saying that we basically had to recreate YouTube to do, you know, the remote support thing. So everything we do is from scratch. You always end up at points when you're developing, or as a software developer, where you use libraries or other resources that somebody else has developed. A lot of these libraries are free, publicly available, so we do check the licenses, but the end product, we have all the intellectual.
So I'm going to do a short answer anyway, but real quick, are you guys involved in the AI deal going on with Microsoft? That just came through?
Yeah, with TechSpark?
Yeah.
No, we're not involved. I've heard about it, but we
And the last one is, what's the name of the company that, your big company that you want to mention that you're doing business with? I'm just curious what level you're at.
It's an auto manufacturer. They do steering wheels and they do airbags. Okay. I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. Is that right?
That has some sort of compassion related to help soldiers with PTSD and virtual reality?
That's something along the lines of what the research lab at UTEP is doing. We've actually sent students on internships to ICT, which is in California, and they do a lot of simulation for that. That's more in our previous experience with virtual humans, where you have virtual humans and you communicate through speech, and it's like talking to someone. And they've been proven to be effective. Right now, it's not something that we're doing for this company, but if you were interested or need a lead, you can talk to Dr. Novik or reach us out.
How are you guys funded?
By the same projects that we are developing. So one of the projects is already in production.
From a marketing perspective, who is your competition? That's one. And number two, why BeaconHill?
Okay, so our competitors are people doing VR and AR simulations as well. Usually, we offer a bit more services than them. They're located, I forgot where they're located because it's mostly, most of these things go through online channels, right? But there's at least 2 other companies that are doing this sort of thing. The difference with those companies is that they actually are following a different route. What they did was they sell their software really cheap, but they sell the tools to make this sort of thing to the companies, right? So their approach is more of a broad, lower cost thing. What we do is, we go to the company, we analyze how we can improve their procedures, how much we're going to save them, and we charge appropriately, but it's a customized solution. We give them the entire package, not just the tools for them to try to set it up. As far as Beacon Hill, Alberto could answer that question better than I can.
It comes from a sister company.
Nice and loud, so we can hear. What?
It comes from a sister company. Beacon Hill Recording Studios, where a lot of this started happening. And that's the simple question, which is easy, right? Beacon Hill Recording Studios, Beacon Hill VR.
You know what? I think I see a lot of potential in your software, especially in the education field. For instance, engineering students, medical students as well. Have you guys thought about that? How are you approaching that?
I'm going to give her the chance to answer this question because she worked on an education software with Dr. Novak, which I helped. That was actually her master thesis. So you want to explain like Boston?
Well, actually, virtual reality is very helpful for especially the middle school demographic. Older students can really help with the AR, in the case of like remote support kind of stuff. But there's not a lot of oh, okay. Well, we created a project that aids students to help learn about history through an application so that they can learn the details through virtual reality. And depending on what the teachers are trying to teach, we tailor the application towards the students or the actual the content. But it depends on what's the point or the goal.
So there's a lot of companies that are doing this for medicine, for education. So it's a lot of branches, right? We cannot, the fact that we know how to use the technology does not allow us to, cover everything. But there's a lot of interesting projects. What Boston was a simulation where you put a kid in 1800s in Boston, and they walk around with a character, and they meet John Adams and Abigail Adams, and they talk to them, and they talk to people who lived through the era. And in the end, they get quizzed by Abigail Adams, and your goal is to help John Adams defend the soldiers after the Boston Massacre. So you get to see like both sides of the story.
I just like the expansion thing you did where you dissect it.
If you want a demo of that, you can also contact Dr. Novak, and you can do a demo of that at UTEP. That's a larger system.
Okay, we have time for one more question. Anybody?
I guess going along with the education, I was also thinking similar lines. For instance, my children are in a private state charter school. Are you looking at in the future having this type of software be available to younger students versus just in trade schools for medical, auto, but for instance, my children are in the theater school and preparing to go to Vinci Academy, and some of the field trips that Vinci Academy apply to are they take their students to NASA, not to the zoo. So will this software be available, or do you plan on it being available to students of a younger age as far as robotics, arts?
Like I said, our involvement with education is limited at the moment because most of the stuff that we're doing has been targeted to the industrial customers in the area, right? There's a lot of companies developing this types of software, so it depends. The problem with most companies doing this is that it's not very interactive, it's very visual. So yes, they put you in the center of a 360 video and you can look around, but you cannot do anything, right? So that's some of the things that the research lab at UTEP is working on. But as BeaconHillVR, we're not targeting education aside from the training and simulation in industrial settings or in high-risk situations. But it is something that can be done, and it is something that will be done, just most likely not by us in the near future.
And also, I should just add that virtual reality devices are not recommended for children under 13.
Under 13, yes. But the other thing that I wanted to mention you is the Path Lab. There's actually a lab that is having all these technologies available for the community. And you can actually visit it, and they have 3D printers, and they have Oculus and virtual reality headsets that your students probably can mess around with initially if they don't have their own cool computer that can run these headsets. So that's another option that they can do here in El Paso. It's small, but if everybody contributes, then it can get bigger.
Well, the long question.
As always, the last question, what can we as a community do to help Beacon Hill?
Well, if this sounds interesting, or if this sounds like an application that would serve you, or you know anybody in the industrial business, visit us on that corner. We're here every day from 9 to 5, at least 3 or 4 of us. So just talk to us, and we'll see if we see.
Yes.
Yeah, we work with
Okay. All right, thank you all. And who's going to take a Here, I'm sorry, so tight picture there, just the 2 of us.
So we gave you $5 for the
That's fine, as long as we can see the back. Well, that's all right, thank you all. Okay, we normally have time for community announcements, but you may have noticed we allowed Beacon Hill to go a little bit long because our second presenter was stuck in the border highway shutdown. I know he's been say a long time, he's never late, so that's not an excuse. I know he was really stuck in traffic. So if it's okay with everybody, I'd like to go ahead and bring him on. We'll still do the announcements at the end, but those of you that need to get out of here on your busy day, that way you guys can run out. Is that cool? Is that okay with everybody? Okay. Our next presenter is Jose Quiñones with County of El Paso Economic Development.
They told me I only have 6 minutes. This is a 60-minute presentation. Let's see. Sorry for apologize for being there. He's right. I'm never late. I'm always on time. But this was my first. Let me just tell you a little bit of what the county is doing. A year and a half ago, the county leadership decided to take up a more active role in economic development. So they created an economic development department. They realized that there was a lot that needed to be done. They had been a partner with the city of El Paso when it came to incentivizing, and now they have this large portfolio of contracts that, oh gosh, we got to monitor and see what's going on. So we have a compliance role to play here. But more importantly is why did the county come up with a department? Here's some of the things that they initially started looking about. One is business attraction. El Paso is lag behind in terms of a region to bring in. When you think about the other big Texas cities, San Antonio, Houston, Dallas, you all have been there, you all did that. In order for us to step it up, El Paso County decided, let's move forward, let's step it up, let's create a department, let's engage our other EDO partners through our municipalities and the private sector. Heritage tourism, that's a baby of the County of El Paso. The county has what's called the County Historical Commission. It is by state legislature enabled under the county government to act and set up what we call its own board. With that board, they're able to go out and identify, designate historical markers throughout the county of El Paso. There's over 100 historical markers in El Paso County. And more than just the managing and being liaison to the Historical Commission, we also pretty much are involved in a lot of surveys and studies going on actively downtown, Mission Trail, throughout the county. Business retention expansion. Today I brought with me Adriana Costa. I just hired her six months ago. That is a role that I think is very important to the county because we want to be able to work with the city, work with other local governments to see how we can help existing companies, businesses that are already here. They represent 95% of what happens and what grows here. And so we, the county, recognize that, and so we're going to be playing a very important role. Various ways, we're going to be doing surveying in the community. We're going to be, she's going to be taking on a very active role in doing referrals and assistance to businesses. If we can help you, we may know who else is out there in terms of public agencies that may be able to help you, be it getting technical support, incentivize, or some type of loan financing. So in a nutshell, what are we incentivizing? Just about 6 months ago, back in December, the court, Commissioner's Court, approved a revamped incentives policy. That was one of the big roles they brought me on and say, we need to revisit our incentives policy. They had a big policy out there. It was really stripped down version. We came up and we set up what we call two parts to it. Part A is comprehensive. It encompasses basically looking at target industries, looking at capital intensive projects. Also, one thing we came out is very unique. If looking at local homegrown businesses that have been successful here and helping them expand further in El Paso. And by doing that, we set up different incentives just for the local homegrown businesses that want to expand. And finally, quality jobs. So quality jobs means if you want to be incentivized to be a quality job, that means your jobs are going to be above the median county wage. You're not going for any low-income, low-paying jobs here in El Paso. That's it. I mean, that's bottom line. We're not going to take 20% of that. We're just going to say your jobs have to be averaging median county wage, and that we don't even bother coming to us on the incentive side for that. So the part B is the more interesting part, and in that part, the laser's not working, is the part where the county has created what we call investment zones. In the investment zones, we came out with 8 of them. Downtown is one. We have them spread out throughout the county. As you can see here, some of them might be familiar, Northwest and Northgate, Todd. Some of these piggyback on what the city, if they're in the city of El Paso, they piggyback on what the city of El Paso is doing. And why is that? Because we went out to our EDO partners and got input, got feedback, said, yeah, this works well. If you all can support us in this, we'll have more businesses in the industry to expand here. Alameda Corridor, Horizon City, that's an up-and-coming community that, by the way, has the highest average income in El Paso County. Target industry sectors. These target industry sectors are the same ones that you will find in the Portoplex Aligned Strategic Plan. So we aligned our strategic target industry with the Portoplex, what the private sector is telling them we need to do. So what have we done? There's 20 active incentive agreements, and since January we've already brought in 5 new agreements. So actually we're a little bit off on that. Over $425 million investment for 3,000 jobs. Average salary based on our incentive agreements, $31,700. That's above the median county wage, which is $13.50 an hour. That's about $27,000 a year. So we're above that. Just going on a little bit further into what we do here in tourism, as I mentioned, right now we have the downtown survey going on. And that is one to assess the assets of downtown area, really a very in-depth study. We hired a consultant group out of Boston to do that. Mission Trail Development's a big one. That involves City of El Paso, City of Socorro, City of San Elizario, and it is a massive undertaking. Again, we're just in the process of accepting the Commissioner's Court to approve the consultant before we engage the community in this. And we're going to have public meetings going on to focus on not just design guidelines, but focus on better incentive pool, better resources of how do we manage the growth, how do we manage tourism, heritage tourism in that area, bringing in sustainable resources, making sure that whatever's developed in terms of circulation, traffic, is sensitive and meets what the community wants in those areas of the county. Very important that we just don't overload them, and all of a sudden we have a highway going down, people driving 50 miles an hour at Socorro Road. It can get very dangerous. Historical Commission, and then you see here, Business Retention Attraction. We just launched this in January. So since our launch in January, Adriana's been busy with our new software that we have. It's called Synchronous. It's a very good software where we can create business profiles. We have interview modules in there depending on the industry. So we can follow up on companies. So every company we incentivize, we have a file we create. And every company that comes to us, if you were to call us today, and you want to spend some time, we will get all your information in there. And depending on what assistance was given to you, we will follow up on that. And so today, you may have been referred to the SBDC. Perhaps a year later you come back, we know that you went to the SBC, or we at least know where you were referred to. But you come back a second time, we have a track record of what type of assistance you asked before, and maybe we can see what ways we can help you in the future. That's in a nutshell, my presentation. Do you have any questions?
All right, thank you. Questions? Questions?
You show down there one of the things is collaboration with education partners. Sorry, this is bad. What is those partnerships?
Our partners, I start off with the economic development organizations. I call those Border-Mix Alliance, Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Greater El Paso Chamber of Commerce, the cities, the communities that have also an economic development department agency, including our partners in Guadalajara County and Chihuahua Province. Those are our EDO partners. There's several others I'm not mentioning. The hub is definitely a partner that we've always had a good relationship with the leadership here. So that partnership keeps growing every year, and we work more with projects. UTEP's a partner. I didn't mention earlier, but UTEP, we signed an agreement back in 2016 to help us develop a master plan for the Phaedrus Airport. That's the county airport. The airport's been around for over 30 years. Nothing's happened. It's just been a couple of planes that had to take off for agricultural purposes and recreation. Now we really want to develop a plan. We came in and I set up rules, rates, all that. Very important in order for it to make the groundwork for it. So,
Where'd you get the funding to do all this?
the funding to do all this? First of all, the department, the way it's funded is out of the county advertising. Now, they did this, the county missions board set up this department without having to raise taxes. And that's one thing I was really pleased at, because I said, well, what is the funding source for your department? Because I'm sure it's not at the top of the list. And they did that and said, we're doing this without raising our taxes. We're doing it because we're doing savings in other areas. We think this is important. Second, our second funding source is the hotel tax. So the county does collect like a half-cent tax out of that 2.5-cent tax that's combined into the city and the county. So they're able to use some of that for heritage tourism projects. So we run that through the attorney, making sure that it meets the state law only for heritage tourism projects at all. So we have to be very careful with that.
If it's successful, will there be other ways to raise money?
If it's successful, yes. I would say that there's other ways to do it. Obviously, you've heard around that there's talk about going after state, going after federal dollars, and federal state tax credits that are out there. So that's very important. Anytime a project comes to us, we always tell them that there are other resources out there available that maybe the county doesn't have, or the county set up like that. Yes, sir.
So is there any work being thought about Central El Paso, Montana, let's say from there?
I didn't make that. I didn't hear the first part.
Is there work being, or is the Economic Development Council, are they working on anything regarding Central El Paso? Montana. Like as you mentioned, historical districts? Wait, that's historical, isn't it?
Well, the downtown survey,
to development, to provide.
I think the idea about the downtown survey is that
Not downtown, from like airport on Montana to downtown.
we're talking just about the strip along the
Right, that drag.
We don't have any specific plans to develop it, but that's more of the city. So when we do, whenever there's a project or an idea within the city, obviously we're in touch with the city economic development to see what are they doing. There may be something perhaps to a Todd or a church that we're doing.
Nice to see you. Anything with, I missed it maybe, but anything with Navita, collaborating with them? We do see a value.
Yeah, with Navita, as a matter of fact, I'm glad to bring them in. From time to time, Border-Mix Alliance does get other EDOs involved. Navita Saber Económico, Juárez, Movida, and Guadalajara County's economic development folks to chip into projects. Obviously, when we compete regionally for projects, which does happen, where it could be Santa Teresa and El Paso compete for one, well, it's up to each agency to put its best package together, and that's what we do. When it's the city alone, we work with the city to double up and say, here's the city and the county's package. We've got one. And we are working on one big project. I wish I could say it, but it's not for sure. Certain. Okay, you defer. You defer to.
So there's all these different economic development organizations serving this region. To what extent are you working together to gauge outcomes of your activities?
Well,
and share that with them.
We do public meetings like these, where we go out there and make it public of where we're at with our projects, but who are we engaging with these projects?
But is that just the county's outcomes, or is that like border flags in the city? I mean, I want to know what's happening across the whole spectrum.
Well, so if you're talking about Borderplex covers not only El Paso County, we cover also parts of Southern New Mexico and Ciudad Juarez. So they do come out with the outcomes. We give them theirs, we share theirs, so that at least from the county side, they know what we have as far as outcomes. And we have weekly meetings where we're giving them updates. They give us updates. The city of El Paso does the same. Juarez and Mesilla Valley also does the same.
So Borderplex would be like the best resource?
If you're looking, yes, in terms of the whole region. If you're just talking about El Paso County, they can just kind of give you a quick shot.
Does Rio Bosque fall under tourism? And is it over?
Rio Bosque does fall, it's more of a, it's not heritage tourism, but it is a different type of tourism. It's ecotourism, that's what it would fall on. I think that's under the city of El Paso. You might want to touch base with the city to see if it's under their parks department.
And dealing with heritage tourism, you know, El Paso only represents 2% of the total state tourism that there is. So I can understand heritage tourism because of that, but are you looking at anything else?
You know what? Here's the thing is that El Paso, if you look at all the major cities, El Paso has one of the largest collections of historic buildings. I mean, all you got to do is look at the dates of the buildings. Whether they're historically designated or not is irrelevant. Just go by the date. This building was built out in 1905 or 1910. Any building that's over 50 years already has some historic value. But that doesn't necessarily translate to be historically significant. And that's why you have to get a consultant to look at a project, look at a site or a neighborhood and see what buildings really have historical significance based on their background and what they consider that. So it's very good to look at the neighborhood. If they modify the building so much over the years that it doesn't look historic anymore, or maybe it's old, but it doesn't mean it's historically significant. It's been so retrofitted. Yes, sir.
So, you know, the company that presented before you, BeaconHillVR, is one of the companies that works here at the hub. So that's a company that reflects a very different kind of economy and of business activity that has to do with companies that are based on science, technology, and that, then are built through entrepreneurship and innovation, right? So my question is, when you look at this strategy and the city strategy, there is talk about innovation and entrepreneurship. So the question is, what can we at the hub and other entities that are very specialized in this area do to raise the profile of science, technology, and innovation in the region's economic development strategy?
There's a lot of things that the hub and us can do to do that. Obviously, communication is very important. Sometimes we think we're talking on the same level, but we're not. And I can only tell you that the more I talk to UNESCO, the more I talk to their staff, I find out what's going on in the hub. And I, vice versa, I always ask them, look at our website for information. If there's anything you don't understand, give us a call, because sometimes what's there in writing may not necessarily pan out the same way when you put out a program, you try to explain how it works and what are all the requirements that you have to go through. One of the good things that we've done that with one of our other partners, the city of El Paso, is we've come up with a single joint application, for anybody that wants to be incentivized based on their criteria and our criteria. They'll submit an application to the county or to the city's website, and it goes directly to both of us automatically, that application. And so we can see it, and we can see what your project can be incentivized under. So the city would see it, and we would see it. And so it's not only for existing businesses here, but it's also for consulting sites from out of town. When you're trying to compete with these very competitive regions, we're trying to make it as streamlined as possible, as easy as possible for those prospective projects to look at us and say, look at how fast we're moving forward.
Okay, we have time for one more question. One more question? Yes, sir.
You talked briefly about traffic and the community needs and wants to try to balance some of that, but infrastructure in the county is lagging. Socorro Road and that, I mean, nobody wants to have heavy truck running down that road unless the road widen and improve.
You know what, that's, like I said, it's about a balance because I think you have to engage the community, and the residents in that area in Socorro Road don't want 18-wheelers and don't want the road to be expanded to be an 8-lane highway, then, you know, you don't have to support politically to move forward on that. But that's more of a political decision than us. Our job here in economic development is to create a sustainable economic development plan for them on what the communities there in the valley want. Not what El Paso citizens here in the west side or east side of El Paso want. It's what folks there want first of all. And then as a county government, we're there to say, okay, this is what we can do for you, but what is the city of Socorro, Sanelli, and the city of El Paso in those parts of the county also will do what I want to work with us on. Because it can't just be the county. We have to learn to work all in unison and say, where can we make advance to see progress moving? Yeah, infrastructure is a big challenge all over the county, you're right about it, but there's other ways that our leaders in transportation need to work to build better roads where the roads are needed to make sure that the infrastructure is in place. I mean, you've got problems not only in terms of road circulation, but also regarding there's roads that are underbuilt. And there's parts of the road that don't have sidewalks. And they're unsafe. And they may be safe for drivers, but they're not safe. They're unsafe for people, for pedestrians and cyclists. So that's what I mean by sustainable. Gotta be sensible.
Okay, and as always, the last question, what can we as a community do to help your department?
I'd like to see you all engage with us. We do have some, for those of you that have small businesses or are startup businesses, I do have a couple of brochures, incentive brochures that talk more about our incentives. You can also look at our website. My contact information and address is in there. We're also on Twitter and Instagram, so you can get information on what we're doing, what the staff is doing. I have a staff of only 5 people. Each of them is really super busy. They supposedly will work 20 hours, or they work like 50 hours, you know, that off the record. And that's not unusual because they're just very committed. I say, what are you doing after hours? Oh, I was updating Instagram photos. Well, that's nice. They're trying to do it during normal hours.